Yeah, hi everyone. Welcome to the Apprentice Automation Challenge 2025 welcome webinar. Today we'll be taking you through some more details about the competition for you, and then we can also give you a bit of helpful tips as well. So let's crack on. So the agenda today, we'll go through some welcome and introductions. Then we've got a section about the IMechE, so just to go through our membership and benefits, and also some information about the Apprentice and IMechE Awards, Manufacturing and Smart Manufacturing Engineering Week benefits. Then we'll move into an overview of the competition. We've got a video to show from the previous competition, a section from the Grand Champions from last year, and then key dates and competition updates, new rule updates this year. And then we'll go through a bit more information on the monthly updates and how you can submit these monthly updates and your reports, lessons learned, report writing, business presentation, and finals day. So the report writing and business presentation will be giving you good tips to help you do the best for the competition. And then also forgot to mention that this meeting's being recorded, and if you do have any questions, if you could please put them in the chat, and then we'll follow those up at the end. Okay, now we'll hand over to Charlotte Brownswood, who's the Business Development Manager, and she's going to take through the membership benefits.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Jason. Thank you for inviting me. I just wanted to kind of highlight to you guys what getting involved with the IMechE looks like, and how we can support you with your membership. I think the most important message that I really have for you guys today is that if you haven't already, apprenticeship membership with the IMechE is completely free, so it really is worth signing up. I will put some links in the chat when I finish speaking that kind of will send you to the right place to sign up for that membership. But why get involved? Well, there's a whole host of reasons why becoming a member is really beneficial to you. Obviously, it's going to help you kind of career progression. It's going to help you get on that step ladder, maybe towards your IMechE professional registration and start developing the competencies. It's also going to give you that opportunity to start getting involved more with the IMechE. Obviously, you guys are all people that have taken the opportunity to get involved with this challenge, which is fantastic, but it's not the only way that you can use your membership. Some of the kind of highlights of membership, and I won't go into everything, but some things for you to go away and have a look at as part of your membership. I would definitely recommend having a look at our library. I don't know if you can see my camera very well if I'm still hidden amongst everyone else, but the library is a physical library down in London where you are welcome as a member to come and join us kind of Monday to Friday. It's a really nice place to meet as a group, or to kind of have meetings or work. It's not a silent library. It's a really nice working environment. Equally, most of our library resources are available online as well. So I would really recommend, if you're coming to finding that you've got a particular challenge or you need to do a piece of research as part of your apprenticeship, it's well worth using and utilising the library resources. It is the largest mechanical engineering library in the world. So quite frankly, if there is anything mechanically engineering relevant that you can't find in that library, I would be amazed. If that does happen, we do have librarians on hand to support you as well. So they'll be more than happy to try and resource additional information if needed. So, use them and use that resource to support you with your careers and with this challenge. Some other things that I think are really worth noting for you guys to get involved with. We do have local panels in each kind of region. So no matter where you are in the country or in the world, there are groups of individuals who come together as IMechE members and organise events in their local areas. Within those groups, there is also what we call our young members panels, and those young members panels sit kind of underneath each of the local areas, and a chance for people in the first kind of 10 years or so of their career to get to know one another, to network together and to learn from each other. because we don't have an age limit on our young members. Instead, we look for them being involved with the institution within the last kind of 10 years or so. It's a real opportunity to meet people who are not only also apprentices like yourself at other companies, but also to meet people who have got a little bit further on in their careers. So maybe have recently become chartered or incorporated or IMechE, and being able to really talk to them on a kind of one-to-one discussion of what was that actually like? Can you help me with your application? You know, getting that support as well. Another area that it is worth noting with memberships a little bit different is we do also have a support network, which is there to help you with your more personal needs, whether that be within the workplace or whether that be kind of with your family at home or financial situations. It is there for all of our members, no matter whether you're a paid member or whether you are on the free apprentice membership. So again, it's just there to support you if you do find yourself in difficulties before you're maybe thinking about having to leave your job or say no to an incredible opportunity. It's always worth checking in with the support network to see if there's something that they might be able to do to help you. In terms of kind of progression from that membership, if you are someone who maybe is completing kind of more years, you know, you're doing an apprenticeship at a higher level, or you're somebody who has maybe worked within an industry and is now completing kind of a different kind of apprenticeship, then you may want to start looking at your IMechE registration sooner rather than later. If you're someone who's fairly new to their apprenticeship, you need around a year's worth of experience and about a level 3 qualification to be ready to go for the IMechE professional registration. But it is worth looking at. It's going to gain you those post-nominals. It's a industry-wide recognized recognition of your competence, which is looking at not just that kind of knowledge basis, but also are you a competent and confident engineer in the workplace and capable. So it's well worth kind of looking at that progression as well. If you do want to start looking at that progression, there's lots of information on our website that you can tap into. I also asked Olivia to share with you today my email address on these slides. So again, you know, if you've just got questions and you don't know where to start, please do feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to support you guys individually to kind of map that membership journey for you. I'm happy to answer kind of any questions, but I appreciate we've got a lot to cover today. So if you do have questions, what I'd recommend is you can pop them in the chat and I'll answer some kind of typed if I can. And if not, if you want to drop me an email, then that would be great. But yeah, I'll pass back to Jason.
Thanks, Charlotte. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to pass on to Raymond Hodgkinson to go through the Apprentice IMechE Awards. Raymond is the Vice Chair of the Trustee Boards and Awards Committee, so perfect for this topic. And he's also been a judge for a competition for quite a few years now, alongside me and the team. So yeah, I'll pass over to Raymond.
Raymond, are you muted? You might be muted.
So before we go on in detail, I'd like to give you a little overview on the general principle of the awards. Our institute recognises the vital importance of apprentices and IMechE in the development of broad engineering capacity. The awards our institute offers covers the breadth of achievement from apprentice affiliate through IMechE, foundation degree, master's degree, and postgraduate study. And don't be too quick to assume that some of these won't apply to you. You never know. They provide recognition and financial support over the range of an engineer's development. So we'll start off talking about the Apprentice of the Year Award. The Apprentice of the Year Award was originally named for Brian Hildrew, who himself was an apprentice in the marine shops in Sunderland in the 1930s and rose to be chairman of Lloyd's and president of the IMechE. So as I mentioned before, don't assume that you've got limits to where you can go. If we move forward, next slide, thank you. The Apprentice of the Year was established to celebrate the achievements of IMechE Apprentice affiliate members and the contribution they make to the engineering sector. And the winner will receive a grant of £1,000 to support their career development, and all highly commended entrants will receive a certificate. Candidates have to be Apprentice affiliate members of the Institute of Mechanical Engineers and enrolled on an advanced or modern engineering apprenticeship. Thank you. The next award is EngTech of the Year. The EngTech is a mark of professionalism, confirming that an engineer technician's knowledge, skills and commitments meet the highest standards. Entrants for the EngTech of the Year award must demonstrate outstanding commitment to their professional development and show how they made a positive difference to their company. They should show how they have made a significant and ongoing contribution to encouraging young people into an engineering career. The award recognises the achievement of our EngTech members and the contribution they make to the engineering industry and the wider economy. And the award consists of a certificate of achievement together with a cheque of £1,000. Next, please. EngTech Visionary is to recognise individuals who have made a significant contribution to the sector by promoting EngTech registration. So the winner will have demonstrated their significant contribution and direct involvement in growing and promoting the institution's EngTech registration, either in an engineering role or in roles such as manager, supervisor, lecturer, mentor, trainer, HR professional or advisor. The winner will receive a plaque and a certificate. The Northern Ireland Regional Apprentice Prize, which will be awarded for the last time this year, is for applicants who studied and worked at a location in Northern Ireland and achieved or worked towards a level 4 or 5 qualification in mechanical engineering. And this is a prize of £3,500. Because we are trying to be more inclusive, this will be the last year we make such a limited award. Lastly, you might have noticed in the summary the Clive Hickman Award. This is a new award for undergraduate studies, and it will be a 3-year scholarship normally. For more details on all these awards, you can use the link that's on your screen now. Thank you.
Okay, now I'll pass over to Grace. Thanks for that, Raymond. And Grace Skilling, she's the Managing Director of the Manufacturer at 19 Group, and she'll be talking through what the manufacturer offer and the Smart Manufacturing and Engineering Week and the benefits.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Grace Skilling, Managing Director of the Manufacturer. Our activities provide the insights, the solutions and the connections that enable manufacturers and engineers and their businesses to be more efficient, more sustainable and more profitable. And we do that through our editorial content. So we publish interviews, features, thought leadership, research and analysis. And we also run events. So we've got our summits and exhibitions and finally our awards programmes. The Manufacturer are proud to continue our support of the Apprentice Automation Challenge, a really important activity delivered by the IMechE, and we do this in several ways. So firstly, we cover the programme across our editorial channels, so we're reaching our community of over 600,000. So when we post stories about the programme, it's really great for enhancing your profiles, so be sure to add the link to your LinkedIn profiles and CVs. Second, we invite the winning team to attend the Manufacturer IMechE Awards 2025 Gala Dinner and Ceremony. This is the manufacturing industry's biggest and most rigorous awards programme. It's organised by the Manufacturer in partnership with the IMechE, and it takes place on the 11th of November in Liverpool. The evening is attended by 500 industry professionals, and it's a fantastic opportunity to celebrate your status as winners of the Apprentice Automation Challenge 2025. And then finally, we invite the winning team to exhibit their winning product at Smart Manufacturing Week 2026. So that is industry's biggest festival of advanced manufacturing, with over 15,000 visitors, 450 exhibitors and 11 live events. Sorry, I should have said to advance the slides there. So here's the manufacturer portfolio. This is the manufacturer IMechE Awards, which we mentioned a moment ago. And then the next slide is Smart Manufacturing Week. So exhibiting at Smart Manufacturing Week is a fantastic opportunity to network, to learn, but also inspire the next generation of manufacturers and engineers by taking part in this STEM programme. So these are the ways that we support the Apprentice Automation Challenge. We're really happy, kind of long-time partners of the programme, and we wish you all the best of luck in the challenge this year and in your future careers, and we hope that will be a valuable resource to you. We also like to offer all of the teams a complimentary subscription to the manufacturer, and we'll share that link with you afterwards. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Thanks, Grace. I think we're all going to the video.
Oh, it's not
Can't hear
showing.
the audio on
Yeah.
that, Chris. Okay, thanks. Well, we'll send a link out to the video as well on YouTube, and we've got videos of the other previous competitions. I think we had some audio issues there, so we couldn't hear the video, but we'll make sure. Yeah, there's a link in the chat already. Okay, now we'll move on to the guys from Niftylift, George, Joe, and Ollie, and they're going to talk through their experience of the competition and their win last year.
Hello. My name's George, and
I'm Joe. I'm Ollie.
I was a team leader for Elevate Elite last year. Do we need a? Oh, there we go. Can you go to the next slide as well, please? So yeah, so I was team leader. So I was a year 3 apprentice.
I was product design lead, and I was a year 3 technical apprentice as well.
I was project support. I was also a technical apprentice, but only in year 1 at a time.
We were couldn't make it today because I've got other stuff going on. But yeah, so you can sort of see the roles that we have there, and we picked them and gave them to each other. Next slide, please.
So throughout the project, these are sort of the main areas that will be involved. We sort of put it in order of what will be done when. So obviously by now, a lot of this would have already been done with your projects. There's just sort of to highlight the key areas that you'll be focusing on whilst doing the project, really. I don't know if you will split up into like departments, the same as we did. But yeah. Go to the next slide, please.
So for the structure of our project, we decided to use in-house process. So we used the Niftylift project process. Because we were only going up to a prototype stage, we sort of split it in half. as that's sort of where we thought we needed to go up to with sort of documentation and evidence. We reordered it all and sort of took the basis from that and restructured it to what we were trying to do with this project. Obviously, you only take it out to a prototype stage, but after that, you can sort of say about what you're proposing for after you've done finals day. So if you were to take it to market, stuff like that. Next slide, please. So these were sort of the key stages that we broke it down into. So obviously you've got your monthly updates that run throughout the project. These are vital, even though they might not seem it, but it's an extra 2 points and per monthly update, one for being on time and one for the content, I believe. So these are like vital points that are well worth gaining throughout the project. Hopefully, I think we got concepts around this time last year. So hopefully you're at that sort of concept staging. Another big deadline is the report deadline, which a majority of your points come from, as well as the sort of prototyping dates. So we started prototyping very early, and then the final prototype was finished the week before finals day. Next slide, please.
So this slide demonstrates the development of our design, which is really important for the project. So the design on the left was our first design that we did. This was just a CAD model, so we didn't actually 3D print this one. It was just to get a rough idea of what our products would look like, dimensions and stuff like that. Then the design in the middle was the first design that we 3D printed, actually used. And after using it, we found a few issues, things like where the keypad and the screen were. So we swapped these around due to like majority of people being right-handed. So it's just more ergonomic, using less material and it generally just being a smaller design. As development's quite important throughout the project, it's quite important to document this as well as you can. Next slide, please.
So I don't think we mentioned, but our sort of project was a self-measuring ingredients device. So our concept was that you put ingredients in at the top of the device and then a bowl in the bottom, and then it'd weigh the contents of what you specify in. So on the previous slide, you sort of saw the iterations of where we got to for finals day. But this slide is about what we were proposing for after finals day if we were to carry on and take this to market. I don't know if you want to speak about this, Ollie.
So we were thinking of future improvements to the product. For example, we had some issues with certain using the like functions of it, such as changing out the funnels or containers. So we looked at making one large container with 3 sections, making it mains powered, as on the day we did chew through quite a few batteries. So just, taking what we noticed from our endpoint and thinking if we were to take it further, what we'd do to make kind of overall a better product.
Yeah, and also make it more marketable with like the touchscreen display, as quite a lot of things have them nowadays, and we thought it would make it the interaction with our device a lot easier. Could we go to the next slide, please?
So the finals day was held at the MTC in Coventry. And in the morning session, we set up our table with, for example, maths information, some printouts of our presentation in case anybody was interested to look through that. And it's mainly just a demonstration of what we had done, how it works, and running through our presentation to groups of judges in the morning. After the judges had came around and looked at it, we kind of reset our product, obviously changed out the rice and the different containers. And then it was down to a peer evaluation where other teams would come around and split off your own team into groups. So, for example, 2 or 3 people would go and look at other people's projects from the aesthetics of their products, functionality, their presentation. and like other aspects of how well you think that their product would have scored. After that, we attended a drinks reception, so a bit of lunch, a bit of celebration, all like thanks for being here sort of thing, and then moved on to the awards, which would be the peer evaluation awards, judges awards, and runners up.
Next slide, please. So obviously throughout this project, you'll face a lot of challenges. So these were sort of the 5 main challenges that we faced. So one of the big ones for us was the 3D printing. So we have facilities in-house to do it all, but there was a few months where we kept having our prints fail, and the 3D printers kept broken in work. So we had to sort of spend a lot of time waiting around, redoing our designs because we hadn't factored in the way to design stuff around 3D printing. Also, it was many of us his first time doing this, so technical writing and presenting was a big challenge for us.
Yeah, so I think the key point with this is just to allow time for error. So although on previous slides we sort of showed deadlines that we're trying to hit, it's also about being realistic, sort of allowing time for errors or things that might go wrong.
Yeah. Next slide, please. Tips, yeah. So obviously with your time, try and put some extra time in your plan, because when you get to September, you go, you sort of panic and you realise that you sort of haven't got long left. So try and plan stuff to be finished well in advance so that you do have the extra 3 weeks towards the end sort of leeway to get stuff done if you are running late. Also pick a project. I know most of you probably already picked a project, but pick a project that has multiple aspects to it. So design, electronics, range of different stuff, so that then you can all get involved and learn new aspects of it.
I'll also say make the most of the people that are in your workplace if you can. So if you can get advice or feedback off of people in your workplace, they're probably a lot more experienced than us. So their feedback's always helpful and it'll be useful later on down the line.
Especially with maybe if you work at a company that took part last year or in previous years, speak to the guys that have previously done it and see if they have any tips for how you can do stuff better or where you can make improvements. Another tip would be make sure your prototype works for finals day. And it's always good to have sort of a physical thing in front of you that you can present that actually works, so you can show off what your idea is and what you're proposing.
Of course, accidents do happen as well, so it's good to bring spare parts. Like, for example, we took extra containers, backup batteries, because we ended up going through quite a few more than we thought we would. So it's always good to just be prepared for the worst, just in case.
Yeah. Next slide, please. So what we got out of it, so this was my first sort of project as a team leader. So I picked up a load of skills from it, especially as it was a team of 6, which is quite a big team. It was sort of learning about how to manage them best. We also got to speak to a lot of new people from the company, people that we might not have necessarily spoke to before, especially as like our team, it was made up of apprentices from different years. So like me and Ollie had never really spoken or met before taking part in this project. So it was very good to sort of see that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, at the time, because I was only in my first year, I was just working on the shop floor, so on the production lines. So I wasn't familiar with a lot of like the office-based roles or development facilities. So being a part of this team also gave me more of an opportunity to understand what goes on in my own company more than I kind of would have on a daily basis.
Yeah, and like I said, with picking the project that we did last year, it had a lot of design work as well as the electronics. So it meant that a lot of the team could sort of learn new skills for it all. So Ben, the electronics lead for our project, he'd never really touched electronics before, and Ethan, he was a shop floor apprentice, so he didn't get much. He hadn't had much experience with this before, so he got to pick up a lot. And I think that's the main thing with these sort of projects is learning new skills and showing them off. It's very, very good to show on finals day what you have actually learned out of it. Next slide, please.
So following our success, we were invited to an awards ceremony in Liverpool. So it's a IMechE Awards, which is a good way to celebrate together with the team and also bring on some of the mentors that helped kind of. So it also gave us a chance to mix with other like-minded individuals in different fields of engineering, see what some of the most recognized feats from that year were. For example, like different awards companies has earned and what they've done to earn them, just see how engineering is being developed kind of across the country. And it overall was just a good kind of time out to celebrate and socialize with others.
I think that's it from us. I believe the next slide is just saying thanks for listening. Good luck. And I believe there's a Q&A at the end of the session. So we'll be sticking around if you have got any questions to ask us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and congratulations again on your win. Very well deserved. Great project. Okay, I'm just going to go through now. So, forgot to mention earlier, I'm the chair of the IMechE Apprentice Automation Challenge, and I'm just going to take you through a few of the key dates for your diaries and a few updates to the competition this year. Next slide, please. Okay, so as mentioned by the team before, there's presentation updates that are required by 5 p.m. on the Friday specified on the slide. And these are basically just like give a basic update on the progress of your project. And yeah, some easy points to win to get under your belt before the finals day and the results. The team report deadline is on Friday, the 11th of July. So another really key date there to make sure you get all of your things. And I guess recommend, yeah, make sure you leave enough time to write reports and get it all nice and finished. There's nothing worse, as I've found out in the past, of being rushing on the day before trying to get your stuff together. Then we've got a presentation webinar on the 13th of August, and we'll be going through, similar to today's session, on like best tips and advice for the finals day. And then we'll be all coming together for the finals competition at the MTC on Thursday, the 25th of September. So yeah, it'd be good to see everybody there. I look forward to seeing you all there on that day. I think as well, just to mention, seeing in the comments is, even if your prototype doesn't work, it's really good to come along. You still get a lot out of it, and it's not a bad thing to fail. You'll learn a lot of lessons. So as long as you're clear on what you've learned and why things may have not gone the way you wanted, that'll get you some good points. Okay, so now moving on to the competition updates. There's a few changes. We've now got a category, so your entry should fit under one of these following categories: either environmental, accessibility, domestic, industrial, well-being, or humanitarian. And there's another category if none of those apply. So if you just inform us, and then we can help to advise if needs be. And I'll let you digest the pack and think where your projects will fall into this for that. Just to note, we will not accept a purely software-based solution. Physical prototype or demonstrator is required alongside any developed software, and it gives you something a bit more to talk about. But feel free to go through and demonstrate any software that supports your physical prototype on the finals day. Then I'll move on to Jack Warboys, who will give a bit more information on the monthly updates. That will be on those Fridays on the dates mentioned before.
Jason. Next slide, please. Cool. So I think the Niftylift team touched on this. We've got monthly updates that should be submitted by 5 p.m. Through IMechE, which I think, if it hasn't been talked through already, is going to be talked through shortly, on the last Friday of each month, from April through to August. And with your consent, these will be posted on the IMechE Facebook and Twitter accounts. So if you don't want these submissions to be posted online through the official IMechE channels, then please make that clear when you submit them. And you'll get 2 marks per post. So over the 5 months, there's 10 marks in total. One of those for being on time, and another for the criteria written below. So imagine here that you're promoting your product and getting it out there in the way that a business might market a product they're bringing to market. And I think we've got some categories on what sort of things to touch on in the different sections as well. I don't know if that's covered in more detail on the next slide. No, it's not. But I think we've got some guidance in the background there. You saw the headings for the screenshots of on the last slide, so gives you some idea what to include in each of those. Thank you.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I'm Chris. I'm the guy behind all the social media and the website. Delighted to see so many of you today, and thanks a lot for joining us on the webinar. So just a quick overview of IMechE as a document submission portal. I guarantee you that if you've used anything to upload anything to the website or to any website in the past, this will be very, very straightforward. What Olivia will be doing a bit later on is, if she hasn't already done so, is sending over login details for each of your teams so that you'll have a dedicated area on IMechE where you can upload all of your documentation. So that's as well as the sort of as well as the monthly updates that we're asking you for. We'll also get the sort of formal documents that you'll be sending as part of your submission that you'll later go and talk about. We've designed this very simply. There's a template that will give you an idea of what to submit for each month. Feel free to elaborate, add some photos if you've got CAD diagrams. If you want to link to something on YouTube or something like that that would show what you've been up to, we'd be delighted to see that and reshare that. The other thing as well is the advice I would give is once you've got those deadlines, stick them in your Gantt charts. Become very familiar with a Gantt chart if you've never used one before, and make sure that you leave enough time so that you can write and give some of the updates in plenty of time. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the only other advice I'd give you on this one is that if you're having trouble with logging in,
mushroom document submission.
Okay, not sure what that was. Okay, sorry, I'm not quite sure what was coming there. But the general rule of thumb is that if you're having trouble logging in, please don't leave it until literally 5 minutes before the deadline that you need to submit stuff by. Do try and give us a few days so that we can sort things out for you, and make sure that once you get your login details, just make sure that you can get in okay. I'm sure Liv and the rest of the team and I can help out if you have any trouble. So there we go. And I'll see you all for the Q&A a bit later on.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, if there are any questions, make sure to put them in the chat or any comments, and we'll happily address those at the end. Now I'll pass over to Toby Higgerty, who's been the head judge for the competition. since inception, and he's going to give you some really good tips and lessons learned to make sure you can score the best with your entries.
Thank you, Jason. So thank you for the introduction. So good afternoon to all of you watching. The first thing as Jason said, I'm going to cover in this webinar is some of the lessons learned that may be of help for you during this challenge. So if I get the next slide, please. So tabbing through each one, the first one is time. It's been alluded to by both Chris before me and also the previous last year's winners. Time. Don't underestimate the time commitment required for this challenge. 6 months may feel like a long time, but between the concepting, developing, report writing, and prototype construction, it can all very quickly slip away without a solid project plan. Find a member of your team that's able to take ownership and help you stay the course. Next, experience. Again, mentioned by last year's champions. You will hopefully have buy-in from your sponsoring company to take part in this challenge. While this is an opportunity for your own learning and development, you may encounter times where further support is needed. In this case, do make sure to reach out to either your apprentice coordinator or other experienced colleagues, or maybe even previous year's teams to help guide you when you get stuck. This being said, however, please don't ask them to do the work for you. So the next point is on report writing. So this is going to be addressed in a bit greater detail in the subsequent section of this webinar, but we have added a new section to the report and adjusted the weightings accordingly. This is to help both you and the judges in the marking your reports and to ensure your final score can truly represent the hard work that you've put in. Please ensure that you give each section equal attention for this reason, as you wouldn't want your mark to be let down by focusing all your attention in one or two sections alone. So lastly, the deliverables. As you will hopefully be aware, there are two deliverables in this challenge, the report and the demonstration. The first we've already started addressing. There is one key piece of advice to offer for the report, that is to get individuals outside your team to proofread it. Be they friends, family members, colleagues at a loose end, you will all be far too close to the report during your writing of it. And by the time you start to read it yourself, your brain will already know the destination, so it's likely to miss some very simple grammatical and spelling errors. Too many times over the years have reports lost out on marks easily that could have been easily saved by just not fully proofing it. Additionally, others not involved may ask questions of this report that you hadn't considered. Be aware that marking judges like myself are likely not from the same industries as you yourselves are. So try and keep overly technical jargon to a minimum. It's an unfortunate fact that plans can sometimes fall through, and you may hit roadblocks that will prevent you from completing your prototype. Please don't be discouraged by this. I would still, and has been alluded to by also in the chat I noticed earlier, and other people throughout this webinar, we would still encourage you to attend the finals day, either as visitors looking to see how your fellow teams have fared, or even with your own project in whatever condition you have managed to complete it to. The unfinished project may still be considered on their merit thus far, and while marks are present for functionality, there are other areas in which marks can be earned based on background knowledge and your own lessons learned. In short, and I started this little rhyme last year, but come what may, attend the finals day. So moving on to the next section, which is on the report writing itself. So you will have access to a template report, which should show the required topics, word count, and corresponding marks. But to walk through this section, we're going to start off by talking about the mark scheme itself in terms of where the marks are allocated. Then we're going to deep dive into each of the individual sections. So design specification, prototype development, which is a new section of the new section for this year, manufacturing process, a business case, which I will briefly mention, but will be discussed in further detail by Raymond Hodgkinson in the subsequent section, a report presentation and structure, and lastly, the monthly updates. So on to the next slide, please. Oh, tips for writing. Forgot about that one. Mark scheme itself. So as I said, there are going to be there's four major sections of actual content: design specification, 20%, product development, also at 20%, manufacturing process, 20%, and business case at, you guessed it, 20%. The last 20% is going to be split between 10% for presentation and structure, and then the monthly updates. So on to the next slide, please. So now a deeper dive into what each of these areas are involved in. So design specification. Have you showed good design documentation? Have you considered the different requirements of your prototype? I believe there might be sub-points on this one. Oh, just next point. Has the team developed evidence of design skills? Why have you selected certain hardware or software to create the prototype? What other considerations were made before you settled on your chosen options? So this is the new section of the report. I think it just throws them all up at once. Or no. Outline the plan to develop the functionality and assess your prototype. Have you detailed these steps and the timeline for the development? Have you considered the criteria for functional assessment? Have you gotten feedback from user groups? Have you considered safety regulations? All these sorts of things should be considered in your development. Next point on this is document how you've developed your prototype. Have you recorded the development process thoroughly? Have you noted any design changes and explained the reasons for these modifications? So on to the next slide, please. So the next slide is the manufacturing process. So have you addressed all the requirements for manufacture? Have you considered difference in the process of creation of prototype versus mass manufacture? And have you included the information of the different stages to get to this, to actually produce your final product? And there's one more point on this, which is, have you shown strong supporting evidence for your decisions? So we like to see information on your successes and your failures in this area. On to the next slide. So the business case. As I said, I'm going to cover over this very briefly, as Raymond has a much more detailed section in this webinar. But have you shown good use of business analysis techniques? So a couple of examples thrown off the top of my head were a SWOT and PESTEL. Have you done market research? What are your competitors like? What are their price points? How established are they in the market? Are you breaking new ground and entering a niche market? These are all things you should be considering. And then this, as I've already stated, this will be covered in greater detail in the next section. So the report presentation and structure. Is the report clear and concise? Is the report well structured and do the sections flow in a logical manner? And have you ensured the report is free from grammatical and spelling errors? This is the second time I'm going to mention it, and it will not be the last. Please proofread your reports. And lastly, have you made good use of citations? And if so, are they presented correctly? The monthly updates themselves. So we've discussed this, they've been mentioned several times throughout this webinar, but there are going to be 5 monthly updates. The first one, meet the team. Tell us about yourself. We'd like to know who you are, where you're from, what's your background. End of May, the problem. What problem is your prototype, your automated solution going to solve? End of June, design concept. So start to talk us through what your plan is. Then end of July, development of the design. So we'd like to see how far you get, how you're getting on, how you're faring with what you're developing. And then end of August, the manufacturing process. So some thoughts into futuring of your product, where you're going to go beyond prototype design. Next slide, I think. Lastly, tips for writing. So I said it wouldn't be the last time I'd mention it, and it's not. So for the third time, please proofread your submissions. Stick to your section word limits. I'm sure many of you could probably write for England, given half the chance, but us poor judges still have to mark them. So please don't go over the limits. The use of figures and tables. A picture says 1,000 words. However, you should only really include these images in your main body if they're directly referenced by the text. If you have any image that you feel is relevant but not directly referenced in terms of figures and tables and graphs, please mark them into the appendix, where the judges can review them later. Report style. So this report is hopefully, and likely should be, can contain contributions from all members of your team, all with your own distinct writing styles. However, as part of the proofing process, you should be ensuring that the report follows a passive voice throughout the report. And keep the report focused last but not least, keep the report focused on the prototype being developed. It's interesting to know what other concepts you have considered in terms of what other prototypes didn't quite make the cut when you initial down selection. However, we don't want to know what you didn't do. We want to know what you did. I think that's there. So I will now, pass you over to Raven Hodgkinson, who was Jason introduced earlier on, who is also one of the assistant judges, who will give you a better discussion on the business plan presentation.
Thank you very much. So let's look at the business plan. Next slide. So there are various elements of a business plan. 5 key elements are listed here, and we'll look at each of these in turn. Next slide, please. The product. Logically, your product is the focus of your business plan. You've obviously thought a lot about what to make, how to make it, and why to make it. So consider, what benefits does it offer which other products do not, known technically as unique selling points or USPs? Why would people want it? What products could compete with it? And don't just consider alternative versions of your product here, but think of other products which would meet the same need. Thus, if you've invented a super adhesive, competitive products could include sticky tape, nails, staple guns, or even welding. The market. When considering the market, think about who would want to buy it. And, very important, how much are they prepared to pay? Ideally, you shouldn't be pricing your product on cost plus X%. You should be pricing it on what the market's prepared to pay for it, which could mean your margins are a bit tighter, though it could mean they're much more generous. And to get to that, and to get to how many they're likely to buy, do some market research and show some market research in your report. And we're not going to go into the internet and double check all the figures you give us. We trust you to give some accurate ideas of how the market is. But it's very important to know that there's a market for your product. You might have the most brilliant product ever for 3-legged cats, but how many 3-legged cats are out there whose owners might buy it? How will you get it to the customers? The path to market. So you can think about shipping costs, packing costs, insurance for items lost or damaged in transit. And what about regulations? Do you have to have a CE market for sailing in Europe? Do you need to consider health and safety or fire risk regulations? And lastly, but by no means least, does the product have a limited life cycle? And if so, you can either extend it by bringing out an outdated model. I mean, iPhone is a classic for that, where their models are replaced regularly just to keep up to date. And that's a good way of increasing your market share and your market turnover. Next slide, please. Back to the path to market. Are you going to sell it directly to the end customers or through a chain of shops, for example? If you do sell through a retail chain, you'll have less costs for advertising and selling, but you will need to allow a resale margin required by the shop. And you may need to add a cost for display to make it interesting in the shop, special displays or promotions. If nobody knows about your product, they're not going to buy it. So think about how you'll advertise it. And this doesn't only include social media and print advertising. It could, for example, mean getting local TV to mention it under local apprentice comes up with great new idea, or getting a celebrity to use it publicly or on TV, which is known in the trade as product placement. How will you package it? Think of possible protection against damage in storage and in transit, but also think about appealing to the eye. There's a very true saying that people buy with their hearts more than with their head. And as mentioned above, if you need to sell through third parties, you do need to allow not only resale discounts, but also costs for the stores to display it and things like that. And what about after-sales service and guarantee costs? This can be a source of income, spare parts, etc., after the guarantee is expired, but it can also be a cost of sales, because you have to replace guaranteed items, either completely or parts of them. So think about that. Next. On the subject of costs, consider the following. Don't base your business case on the prototype costs, unless you really think that you won't get any savings at all going into mass production. Base it on the predicted costs for mass production. In addition to the individual production costs, you will have fixed costs, such as staff wages, electricity bills, factory rental or amortization, which is simply writing down the purchase of any asset over a period of time. Which you have to do, because if you don't make allowances for that, you'll come to the stage where it's worn out and there's no money to replace it. Think about advertising costs, which also go as overheads. Delivery costs can often be added to the production costs using an average figure. So can warranty costs. For large capital goods, accounting practice says that you should estimate 2% per year of warranty. Next slide. Finances. This sounds a bit intimidating, but believe me, it's not if you take it a piece at a time. For each period in your study, and I'll give you an example in a few minutes using months, but you could use quarters or years or whatever period seems appropriate. It's a very good idea to allow for a best case, worst case scenario. If you go in real life to a bank and say, we are going to sell exactly 1,524 models next year, they're just not going to believe you. If you say we're going to sell between 1,200 and 1,600, they might. Hello? So multiply your net cost per unit by the number you're going to sell, add the fixed costs to that figure, and that gives you your total costs for the period. Then take the sales price per unit multiplied by the sales number, and that gives you your total income. Subtract costs from income, and it'll give you a net profit or loss. And please be realistic. The last CEO I knew in real life who bought a company giving a 33% return on investment found himself looking for a new job a year later when his former employers were writing off £1 million investment. So don't worry if the profit and loss is negative in the initial period. That's normal, but you will need to allow for some sort of capital to back that and get you through that period, and add that into your costs because you'll pay interest on that capital as well as repayment. Next, please. I've tried not to make this too overwhelmingly complicated, but you can see I've tried to show you best case and worst case sales for each of the periods, and then done the same calculation that I was telling you to show a best and worst case profit and loss for the period and for cumulative. As you can see, in my case, we're going to be in negative. Depending on the worst case, we could be 9 months in negative. The best case, only about 4 months, 6 months. But again, if in your case, the figure's even up to 2-3 years, that's not unreasonable for a new product and a new market, as long as you can give a reasonable expectation that you'll recoup those losses and turn into a cumulative profit loss within a reasonable period of time. Next slide, please. That's one of the beauties of selling stuff by electronically. Those were supposed to be different coloured lines, but you can see the general idea. I've just graphed what I had in the last line showing the months, the profit or loss for the month, best case and worst case, and the cumulative. And you can see the cumulative best case, which is obviously the highest line, is showing a profit of about 3,500 after 12 months. But you will see all of them are rising above the negative by the time you're up to about 5-6 months. My apologies that the graphics aren't better on that. I'll try and improve them for next year. Next slide. Final thoughts. And I make no apologies for repeating something you've been told. When you finish your business case, read it through again and again and again, and then get someone else to read it through for you. It'd be such a shame to spoil all your hard work by leaving some typing errors or spelling errors. And believe me, I've seen some reports where it stops in the middle of a sentence halfway down a page. That is not going to make a good impression on the judges, obviously. And don't trust Word for your corrections. I fight a continual battle with autocorrect, changing what I wanted to say into something I never meant to say. I'm sure some of you've had the same. And some of the grammatical corrections in Word are either American English or just plain wrong. It's okay, by the way, to use American English, but if you use it, you've got to use it all the time. You can't use it in one section and English in another. That's very bad style, and it will come off your report mark. If you do use abbreviations, by the way, you should explain them the first time you use them. E.g., for example, ROI is return on investment. And what you do the first time you use it, say ROI and put in bracket return on investment, and then the rest of the report, just use ROI. You've told us what it means. Thank you and good luck.
Thank Raymond. It's very informative. It's not working. Yeah, now we're going to pass over to Liv Evans-Walcott, the Projects and Events Executive for the IMechE, and she's going to talk us through the 2025 Finals Day.
Hi everyone. Yeah, as Jason said, I'm the operations lead for Apprentice Automation Challenge. So you'll see emails coming from me, and I also am in control of the AAC inbox as well. So yeah, reminders, emails, it will all come through me. I just want to talk a little bit about the Finals Day. So the Finals Day will take place on Thursday, the 25th of September, and it will take place at the Manufacturing Technology Centre. The day will start from around 9 AM and finish at around 5 PM. A rough agenda of the day, so we'll have a welcome, you'll set up your prototypes, there'll be some refreshments, and then we'll have the scrutineering and the judges briefing. We'll have the actual judging that's be taking place, and they'll come around to you and your prototypes. We'll have a short lunch break, and then we usually have the peer review and the Lighthouse Challenge. And this is why the judges deliberate. We're also having the MTC workshop tours as well this year. Usually we have the Finals Day on a Friday, but we've moved it to the Thursday to accommodate this. So that's just a little extra that we'll have this year. We'll then have a drinks reception, and then after that we'll have the awards ceremony. Now, I know Niftylift touched on the prizes a little bit earlier, but we have the peer review award, and the winners of this, they'll get £20 per team member, and it will be an Amazon voucher. We'll then have the judges highly commended award, and they will, the winning team will have £500. And they'll have the attendance at the TMMX Awards, and they'll also be able to showcase their product at the Smart Factory Expo as well. And then obviously we'll have the Grand Champion Prize, which is £2,000. So yeah, definitely something to work towards. But yeah, just a reminder to check emails. You'll receive quite a few from me, and keep up to date with deadlines. And of course, if you've got any questions, please just email the AAC challenge inbox, and I'll get back to you as quick as possible. But yeah, good luck, and I think the next time I'll see you will be the pre-finals webinar in September, in August. So yeah, good luck.
Thanks, Liv. Okay, yeah, we've got time for any questions or answers. I don't know, Liv, is there any that have been raised in the Q&A section or in the chat?
I think Chris is going to monitor the Q&A, so he's going to do the comparing for that now. I think we've got a few questions, so Chris, if you want to just let us know.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm having a look at the Q&A and the chat, and there's nothing there just yet. Obviously, there's quite a few of you on online, so if you do have any questions, feel free to just sort of pop them in the chat, and we'll get those sorted out. I just want to say thank you to the gents from Niftylift for sharing some really good insights on some of the key highlights on what they did last year. And it's not just about sort of what went well, it's also about what didn't go well. And obviously some of the problems that they had are well worth considering for this year. Doesn't matter necessarily what your product's going to be, you're probably going to run into much the same problems. So getting a few questions first. So James Brogan says, will the slides be sent out? Yes, they will, and I'll probably get a copy of these and get them on the website as well so that you can download them. Let's have a look here. We've got a question from Dylan from Leonardo asking, could the selection process for judges be elaborated, as it was noted by competitors last year that the judging panel contains some employees? Jason, or Toby, I think this is probably a good question for you there.
Yeah, Toby, do you want to take this one? I think you're on mute, Toby.
You're on mute there, sir.
Yep, there we are. We put out a call for judges back. We'll put out a call for judges shortly. We usually have in all judging cases they're judging as a pair, and yes, there are instances where a judge may judge a team who is part from the company, but they're not judging on their own. They usually have another judge to keep them honest. And additionally, there is a second judging team that's able to visit, so we're able to moderate out any potential biases, ideally. But with the number of teams that we're taking part this year, I'm hoping that's not going to be so much of a case that I think I can avoid from recurring. I don't know if that's an answer that you're going to be happy with, but that is the way it is, I'm afraid, right now. But we always make sure that things are as fair as possible.
So yeah, and just to add to this, one of the jobs that I've been given by Toby and the guys and girls at the committee is to get some additional judging on board this year as well. So it's quite likely that you're going to get judged by the people from outside of your organisation. And so hopefully that will be alleviated. Other question here coming in from Woody at Leonardo saying, will the recording of the webinar be made available? Yes, as soon as I can get my hot little hands on it and get it uploaded to YouTube, I'll get that shared out as well. Just to add as well, we do have a LinkedIn group as a showcase page. I'll pop that in the chat window. Feel free to sort of add, get involved there as well. All of the updates for all the channels will get posted there as well. I know that some people are not on X, they're not on Facebook these days. I certainly am not either. So LinkedIn gives you another opportunity there. There was another question as well that came through asking about. Oh, I see. No, the question's been withdrawn. There we go. That's fine. Good to see there. Let's have a look. There's a few more questions coming in here. So Lara Beckett asks, could you explain the categories concept, foundation, and advanced? So I'm going to leave that to some of my colleagues on the committee there.
I'm just going to go find that slide again just to refresh myself with it. This is the categories for what the the prototype can fall under, if I understand that question correctly.
Yeah, I'm hoping that that's what it refers to there, Lara. Feel free to sort of add some more clarity there if you need to. Okay, well, just while we wait for that, I think the key message here is that while we're trying to sort of add the categories that will hopefully sort of guide your thinking as well, if you do have questions about where your proposed product will fall under, just get in touch with us. It'll be a case that will probably be like, oh yes, it's much more clearly under this particular category than another, and if not, then we can stick it under the other as a catch-all for the others. Toby, have you got any further info once you've had a quick look at the slides?
So, in terms of the categories, obviously it was briefly alluded. They were discussed by. I think Jason discussed on them briefly. So the categories, just to recap over, they're environmental, so looking at products that work in recycling or reducing and reusing, something that reduces environmental impact. Accessibility, project centered towards supporting those with disabilities, something that increases the accessibility or safety. Domestic affects your home and garden, something that solves or automates a common problem. Industrial affects your company or its area of industry, something that improves an industrial process. From well-being, general improvements to the user's quality of life, something that enhances health and well-being. Humanitarian, solutions assisting with crisis and disaster. And then just the catch-all other of if you feel your product doesn't fall into one of those categories, to reach out to us and we can either advise or just say, yeah, that's fine, go ahead with it, no problems.
Yeah, I think just to add to that as well, there's no it doesn't matter which category you fall under. There's no benefit for being in one or the other. And also, yeah, if there is another, we don't want, if you've got a really good product on here and you've got a really good problem to solve, then feel free. I think what the main reason we've added the categories was just to expand on the different areas. In earlier competitions, we didn't have the industrial category, for example. So it just gives more opportunity to do a project that might be improving something at work, rather than in previous competitions, it was mostly focused at the home. So that was a key difference there. Just wanted to be clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you very much, gents. Very helpful. We've got a couple of questions in here from Sadie at Leonardo. The first one I think is a definite yes, which is the business case that Raymond's gone through. The assumption is that it's 20% of the report that you complete. Correct. It is 20% of that. And obviously we want to see that you've considered all sides of the report and what it's asking you for. The second part of that question there is, do we give the judges the report on the finals day? And it's my understanding that that's submitted slightly earlier. Toby, can you just quickly clarify that, please?
Yes. So the finals, I need to go and find my my list of dates. So the team report is due in on Friday, the 11th of July, at which point they're distributed amongst teams of judges for marking. We have, due to the fact that judging can be done remotely, it doesn't require people to be on site. There's a high chance that the individual who marked your report isn't necessarily going to be a judge on the finals day. We do try to send the electronic copies of those reports out to judges if they wish to review them beforehand, but there's no guarantee that they're going to have been able to read them, because they don't necessarily know who they're going to be judging until they get there on the finals day themselves. You only have a set amount of time to make your presentation to the judges. So giving them a report and expecting them to read it in that time or while they do the marking, it's not unlikely to happen. You're welcome to give them a report if they feel they'd be interested in keep taking a copy home as a souvenir. But beyond that, there's no need to bring a copy of the report for the finals day.
There you go. There's also the sustainability angle that you could probably play there and say, save a few trees by not printing one of these out. But I know that some of the apprentices we've seen they bring them as a digital copy and they have it lying on their as part of the presentation, it's on like an iPad or it's on a laptop. There's nothing to stop you from doing that either. And it might sort of be a nice halfway house between, formally printing it out and actually, still having it available. Just about the finals day and some of the comments that the team from Niftylift sort of gave out. Great to sort of remind us all that, if you've got a prototype, and you're bringing it with you, bring some spare parts. We always know that the best laid plans will always go completely awry. Stuff breaks, stuff will, batteries will drain. So bring, some extra consumables, bring some other parts so that you can fix it if you do need to. Depending on how you're going to get prototype to the finals day, especially if you've gone over a few speed humps, you never know what the prototype is going to look like once you get it out of your container afterwards. So do bring some spares. As well as that, what also might be useful is if you've got sort of old iterations of 3D printed parts or older versions of your prototype, do bring those along as well. It gives a good opportunity to say, look, here's what we started with, here's what we learned from it, and here's what it now looks like. And it gives another opportunity for you to sort of show off what you've been working on. I'm just having a look through all of the chat channels. Doesn't seem to be an awful lot here. Oh, here we go. Right, there's a question here from one of the QA technician apprentices without a name. Hello, anonymous QA apprentice. The question here is, how much is the report worth of the overall score? And that is 50% of the overall score. Not sure if we have any other questions at this point. Don't all ask them at once. The other question, another one from Sadie, is do we get the results of the scores before finals day? My understanding is that no. So we all like to keep you in a little bit of suspense. But I'd like to ask some of the committee to just clarify that.
I'm trying to think back to last year, actually, if we gave out the scores last year. I don't believe typically we do give out the report score. We can maybe look to discuss that amongst the steering committee in the coming months, but at present, I wouldn't expect to receive it before the finals day. You out the end of the finals day as well, just to get ahead of this particular question, you won't be told the final score either, because you don't really want to know if you're competing against fellow teams how much you beat them or didn't beat them by, because it could be somewhat demoralizing, I'm sure, to either side of that particular conversation. So
the answer to the question is no, you won't be getting the advanced notice ahead of the finals day. But watch this space if that changes and we have the capacity to change to share that ahead of time. And then overall final scores for everything will be shared after the finals day itself. And then you'll be able to sort of get additional feedback from judges sort of on the day. So do feel free to sort of ask them and sort of sort of say, look, what do you think went well? But more formal feedback will follow the finals day. Not seeing if there's any other questions. I think the good sort of thing really at this part of the competition, and I've been doing this for a few years now, is this is the sort of time where it's all about brainstorming, it's all about project planning. As I mentioned about Gantt charts, they are your friends. You'll be able to sort of make the best use of your time and see where you're slightly ahead of yourself as well as slightly behind, and where you can sort of bake extra capacity to catch up as needed. And the other thing as well is, as multiple presenters have pointed out, if you do end up with a product that prototype that perhaps doesn't fully work or isn't working as you'd intended, please do bring it along. We want to see what you've been working on, and you'll get just as much out of it as if it were working. As if it doesn't, there's plenty that you can talk about in terms of what you're learning from and how your sort of experiences with developing your prototype will sort of improve your sort of skills and experience, and it will also point out a future development plan. You can talk a lot more about what your next steps would be to improve your product, if you had some more time, had additional funding and resources. So last call for questions before I think we wrap up and everyone goes for a bit of lunch. No? Okay, I think that's fine. By all means, we're available on social media. Liv also has access to the inbox as well. So if you have any other questions, we know what it's like. As soon as you hit the leave button, you'll think of about 5 different questions. Do let us know what you need, and we'll be happy to help. But best of luck with your best of luck with all of your prototyping and your brainstorming at the moment. Oh, sorry, we've had one final one just finally in. Question from Jonathan at Leonardo: do we get feedback on the reports, i.e., what to include and change for next time? So, final question on that.
Yeah, that feedback can be provided.
Okay, so that's a definitive yes. Thanks very much. I'm going to finish up to pass on to everyone else to close out.
Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, so I think that will conclude our session. As Chris mentioned, please get in contact if you have any more questions via the email or via social media, and we'll be more than happy to help. And obviously, if you run into any problems, yeah, get in contact, and then we'll see if we can help you out through there as well, if there's any possibility to do so. But I'd just like to say good luck, everybody, and enjoy the process, enjoy the learning. And I look forward to seeing you in the next webinar and at the finals day.